I went 5 for 5 again today. All of my trades, more than enough time to enter. Easy, simple money was made this morning. All of these trades worked out phenomenally. 100% gain on SPY, 70% gain on the NASDAQ, and then multiple other winners throughout the day. You cannot make this stuff up. You cannot make, this is not luck. These results are not just, oh, hey guys, yeah, I'm going to show you a fair value gap. Oh, I'm going to show, oh, this looks like a good, I don't just teach a course. Do you understand? I don't have a course. I haven't launched a course. I show you guys trades. I don't talk about theory. I propel my trades in front of everyone so that you guys can see exactly when I'm entering and exiting everything. Do you understand? Trading, let me tell you guys something very, very simple. When you want to become a very, very good trader, you need to discipline yourself and discipline your life and every single aspect of your life. Do you understand? When life is now more comfortable, when life is more easy, you will have the same habits that you had back then. Okay, so what that means is when you start making money, you are still going to have the same nagging thoughts in your mind, like, oh, maybe I should go and hang out with that girl. Maybe I should go and drink this. Maybe I should go and smoke this. You have to level yourself up in every single aspect of life if you want to make it to the next stage in life. If you're still acting in the same low-level thought process and mindset, lack of integrity in your work, lack of discipline in your life, lack of honesty, lack of emotional regulation, lack of protection of your family, lack of emotional intelligence. If you continue to have these different aspects and different characteristics, you will by default remain low. You need to level yourself up in all aspects, because once you make it to the next level, by default, your mind is going to want to go to comfort. I'm rambling, but listen to what I'm saying. Your mind is going to want to go to comfort because it's not used to the success that you have. Do you understand? If you start making a lot of money, your mind is used to you being broke. Your mind and your body, the chemicals that have been wired in your brain, the patterns that you have in your life, you're used to not being successful. So you're going to try to pull yourself and shoot yourself in the foot, essentially, and basically forcefully trip over yourself so that you do not put yourself in a situation that is uncomfortable for you. That is detrimental. That is very, very detrimental. You have to have unwavering faith in your abilities. You cannot even accept a possibility that it won't work. I cannot even fathom it not working. I've never even, there's no room for any doubt in your mind. Because if you have that level of doubt, any sort of doubt, if you have even a sliver of doubt, it robs you of your success. It robs your family of the success that they deserve because you've been given an amazing opportunity. We've all been given an amazing opportunity with this trading shit that we're doing. This is ridiculous. Where in any time in history has there ever been a time when we could just sit in front of our laptops and just look at a screen, make money with a few clicks? And where has that ever happened before in time, in history? Never. So if you're not taking advantage of this moment, if you're not trying to discipline yourself, learn from what you're doing wrong. Try to learn new skills and try to be correct, right? If you're not trying to do these things, you are robbing your kids, you're robbing everyone around you. Not everyone has been in this situation. Not everyone even understands wow, if I compound 1%, not everyone even understands any concept about trading or about the stock market or about crypto. You are lucky. We are lucky to be in this position. If you're not taking advantage of that, it's very selfish. In general, humans in general are very, very selfish. But what creates a leader, what makes a leader is selflessness. You need to you have to put your ego to the side. You have to put your pride and your comfort to the side and do what is best. Do what you need to do in order to take yourself to the next level. Because if we're not putting ourselves into the next level in all aspects of life, we are robbing the loved ones in our lives. It's really that simple. We cannot continue to live a mediocre life. It is 2025. We have a few months left of the year. We have to stop living mediocre lives. There's too much money in the world. There's too much money on the table. There's too much death and destruction in the world currently for us to live in a blind life, acting like there aren't disgusting things going on around the world. The more ownership that you have in your day-to-day life, you'll eventually be able to have ownership and influence on other people's lives around you. Once you're able to have more and more influence on other people's lives around you, then you've created a community of people that are also on the same journey and the same path where all of you guys are trying to help. You do that enough, that's how the world in general becomes a better place. It starts with you, the sacrifices that you want to make, and the discipline that you want to have in your life. And that's very difficult. And it's very, very difficult because sometimes it's not always going to work out. Your intentions might be clear. Your intentions will be clear. You want to do it for the right reasons, but they're not always going to work out. Victory goes to the ones who persevere. Losses or things not exactly working out for you in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, that does not mean that you are on the wrong path. It means that you have to continue persevering, learn from your mistakes, be introspective, and try to fix what isn't working. All right, so I hope this makes sense. I hope this was a good introduction to the video because I genuinely, this is real life. This is real life stuff. This is not, I'm going to go buy a Lambo. I live in New York City. Do you understand? There are tons of degenerate things people do here. But there is a bigger purpose of life. So I want everyone to really just appreciate the blessings that you have and prove to God that you're worthy of having the blessings. Because if you could prove to God that you're worthy of having the blessings that you have right now, then God will eventually give you more and more blessings. If you start making $100 a day trading and you blow $50 a day at the strip club, or if you go and do something with like a woman and you pay her for, anything, right? If you're doing that with $100 a day, what do you think you're going to be doing with $500 or $1,000 a day? You're not going to be able to handle it. All of your relationships are going to be down the drain. You're going to be doing drugs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you need to have a level of discipline, self-respect, and emotional clarity of where you want to go. One thing that really, really helps is don't live your life for you. Live your life for the people around you, because that will give the added boost of the days that you're tired or the days that you don't want to do it. You need to have things that you could fall back on and remember, okay, this is my motivation for why I'm doing it. This is my motivation for why I'm not doing this thing. Because also success is not just about doing things. A lot of success is making sure you don't do things. That's something that trips people up because it's the past. You need to rewire your brain. Cut the negative things that we've been doing in the past. Move forward and do what's best for us. And that is very difficult for people. It's understandable. We're human. But that's the game. That is the game. Unlearn the things in the past while trying to be better in the future. And bringing up people around you in the process. That is the game. So, with that being said, let's talk about the market. Today was pretty fun. We had a really, really solid day. Didn't lose. We're going to continue being on a massive run, and things are working out really, really well. All right, so let's get started with the video. I'm going to talk about the SP500, the NASDAQ, the Russell, the VIX, the large tech stocks. We're going to put it all together and what the next steps are for the market in general. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's get started with the video. We need to monitor the VIX because the VIX has a clear-cut inverse relationship to the market. What does that mean? It means that when the VIX rises, that means the overall market should be falling. What happened today? The VIX was up 7% today, and the market was red. So, as we were approaching this $14.50 to $15 area, this was major support. The VIX can still drop even lower to this $13 to $14 range right here. All of these are major support zones for the VIX. What happens when something comes to support? When things are at support, they tend to bounce. So what did I just say? If the VIX is rising and bouncing, the overall market should be falling. And that is exactly what ended up happening today. And this was a pretty solid move, a gap up, and we're up 8% on the day. Now, what needs to occur, once again, is the VIX needs to break above the $17 level. If it can hold above the $17 level, that really shifts things to bearishness for the overall market. We're going to be monitoring the $17 level for months, for weeks, because it is so important. As you've seen, for all this time, it has just been acting like a very, very choppy zone here. 17, above 17 on the VIX is bearish for the overall market. And that is, we're going to see if that's going to end up occurring. So today in general, across the board on all of these large tech stocks, on the overall market as a whole, this was a bearish day. There's a reason why I was specifically leaning bearish on almost every single trade that we took. It was because things are very far overextended and we're at levels of resistance. Case in point, number one, Apple, very far overextended. Apple has been a major reason why the market in general has been rising. But with Apple trading outside of the upper level of the Bollinger Band here, you can clearly see it needs some breathing space. It needs some time to breathe, to get its life together. Do you understand? That's exactly what's going on with Apple right now. As Apple did this, the rest of the strength in the overall market was not strong enough. So there was no other reason for the market to rally. That's why the market in general had a bit of a red day. If we get a close on Apple below 224, below 223.50, this can drop pretty dramatically, and we can end up getting a move back down to 214, in my opinion. So this is a chart of the S&P 500 futures, the ES. I was mentioning how yesterday we needed a solid close above 64.40 for us to reclaim the trend line. That is not what ended up happening. Clearly, you can see that today even, we ended up testing the trend line, failing at it. This trend line also coincided perfectly with the 786% Fibonacci level. This shows extreme resistance and a lot of sellers essentially into a level of resistance. This, coupled with the fact that Apple was also very far overextended, coupled with the fact that the VIX was at a level of support, helped me have a bearish bias today in terms of my day trades, which is the reason why we ended up going 5 for 5 today in the Discord for my day trades. And if you guys want access to the trades, click the link in my bio. You guys gain access to all of my day trades, my swing trades, as well as my trading view indicator. Now, with that being said, if the SPY fails and breaks below 63.70, this is 63.70 area is very major support here, right? Lots of touches, major support. But if we break below this level, then it has room to really drop down below the 38.2% fib at 63.27, and then this can end up just falling really low. But this 63.70 level on the ES is very, very important. And for a continued move to the upside, for us to reclaim this trend line for tomorrow, the level is going to be 64.43. Does that happen tomorrow? I'm not entirely sure. But this downside level is going to be the major level of support that needs to hold. And these next few days are going to be very, very fun. The NASDAQ being this far overextended to the upside as well was a really solid, clean indication as well of a potential pullback. Apple, the ES, the VIX at support, the S&P 500 at resistance, all of these were really, really solid, amazing reasons why the overall market should be getting a bit of a pullback, and that's exactly what ended up happening. We are still holding above the 786% fib on the NASDAQ, whereas on the S&P, we're trading below it, right? So the NASDAQ is still showing more relative strength than the S&P 500 is. Now, this is not the most bullish situation. The reason for that is because we are really just trying to hold 50% of this candle. Now, when you come back and retest about 50% of this candle, of a big green candle, that's not generally the most bullish spot to go long. What you want to see for a continuation to the upside is either the 23.6% fib of this candle or the 38.2% fib of this candle to hold very solidly. Instead, both of those levels ended up caving, and now we're basically testing the 50% of the candle, which shows buyers are not as aggressive. If buyers were aggressive, it would hold a 22.6% fib. But we're currently at the 50% fib of this green candle. Does that make sense? That is not the most bullish sign. Obviously, it is great that we're holding above the 786, but it's a double-edged sword. There's two faces to this coin, all right? So that's basically what's going on the NASDAQ. To get a better understanding of where the NASDAQ is going to end up going, we have to look at the other large tech stocks. NVIDIA is flat. Didn't do anything. It had a flat day, 0.3% gain for the day, right at resistance, at all-time highs. Didn't do anything new. Nothing really new to do here. AMD also had a monster move to the upside, but closed flat. NVIDIA and AMD barely did anything today. We held the 170 level, which is bullish. This is still holding a bull flag, obviously. So things are still bullish for AMD. It's still trying to break out of the bull flag. As long as we hold 168 to 170 on AMD, this is bullish. And for a good continuation to the upside, things can still be bullish on AMD, in my opinion here, based off of the setup.